In this presentation, I would like for you to refresh your memories on some of the foundational nutrition principles, including a few key terms and the overarching functions of nutrients. Nutrition is a science that studies the interactions between living organisms and food, with a nutrient then being the substance needed for healthy growth, development, and functioning. Nutrients then can be classified in a variety of ways. First, we have an essential nutrient versus a non-essential nutrient. And essential nutrients must be provided by the diet, so the foods that we consume, whereas non-essential nutrients can be made by the body. Therefore, we don't have to get them from the foods that we eat because our body can make them. To date, humans need more than 45 different essential nutrients. When we look at a macronutrient versus a micronutrient, if you think about it, macro means large, micro means small. So a macronutrient is one that is needed in larger amounts, so tens to hundreds of grams daily. Whereas a micronutrient is one that is needed in micro or smaller amounts daily. So even though the body may only need a few micrograms or milligrams of a nutrient daily, the functions of that micronutrients, the functions that it performs is still critical. Finally, we have enrichment versus fortification. So some foods can have nutrients added to them. For example, whole grain products contain the whole grain. So on the bottom of the slide there, on your left, we have the wheat plant. In the center there, we have the wheat kernel. So a whole grain is one that contains the whole kernel. So it is made of the germ, the bran, and the endosperm. Refined grains just contain the endosperm, and sometimes you'll see that on the food label as an enriched white flour. So that should tell you that the product just has the endosperm. So the problem with this is that refined grains, such as the enriched white flour, don't have the nutrients that are found within the bran and the germ. So it's important, one, that we consume whole grain products, or two, we look for products that have been enriched. So grain products in the United States are enriched with these 4 micronutrients: thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. All 3 of those are B vitamins, and then the mineral iron. So enriched white flour still just contains, but the flour has been enriched with these 4 nutrients. In the enrichment process, it contains the same amount of nutrients that was lost in the milling process. The same amount is added back in. Now, grain products and other products can be fortified. So fortified with nutrients. So when we're looking just at grain products, all grain products in the United States are fortified with folic acid, which is another B vitamin. Now, fortification can happen in a variety of products, not just in grain products. So on the slide here, we've got some examples of fortified foods. So the first image there on your left is vitamin D milk. If you look in the ingredients there, you see milk and then vitamin D3. So when you see the nutrient there on the ingredient list, that means it's been added to the product. So in the United States, all dairy products are fortified with vitamins A and D. In the center there, we have an image of Total Raisin Bran. And many times the ready-to-eat breakfast cereals are a multivitamin mineral supplement in a box. You can see there that it has 100% of those 11 vitamins and minerals. So many of those vitamins and minerals have been added to the grain product. Finally, your third image there is that of calcium fortified orange juice. So you can see there that calcium down at the bottom, it says ingredients not found in regular orange juice, and you go and you see that they're talking about the calcium. So we can add nutrients to a product that didn't have any of that nutrient in it to begin with. So orange juice is a great source of vitamin C, but not naturally a great source of calcium. And so food manufacturers have added the calcium into the orange juice, making it calcium fortified orange juice. Any food that you eat adds some nutrients to your diet, but to make your diet more healthy, we need to look at those foods that have a higher nutrient density. So nutrient density is the measure of the nutrients provided by a food relative to its calorie content. So another way to look at this is for the same number of calories, which food is going to give you more nutrients? So the image there compares low-fat milk with sweetened iced tea. So roughly they have the same number of calories per cup of the beverage, but the sweetened iced tea really just gives you the calories and added sugar, which isn't on the bar graph. But if you look at the low-fat milk, for the same number of calories, it gives you 300 milligrams of calcium, which is about a quarter of the amount of calcium that you need in a day's time. If you look there on the right, we have, instead of this, to have that option. And all of those illustrate the foods that have a higher nutrient density. So you get more nutrients for the same number of calories. By eating the nutrient-dense foods, that's going to help you to moderate the number of calories that you have in a day's time, and hopefully will help you to either lose weight or to maintain the healthy weight. Next, I want to review quickly here the 6 classes of nutrients. So we have the micronutrients and the macronutrients. So vitamins and minerals are referred to as the micronutrients, again, because we need them in such small amounts. Vitamins provide no energy, so there's no calories in vitamins and minerals, but they do play many roles in energy metabolism. So a vitamin, a certain B vitamin, will be needed to unleash the energy that comes from our carbohydrates. When we look at the macronutrients, we have 4 of those: carbohydrates, protein, fat, and water. The carbohydrate, protein, and fat, whereas the water does not. The vitamins, carbohydrate, protein, and fat all contain carbon, whereas water and the minerals do not contain carbon. So the vitamins, carbohydrates, protein, and fat are referred to as organic compounds because they do contain that carbon element. So I want to talk about each of the macronutrients in a little bit more detail. So first here we have carbohydrates. So the carbohydrates, as depicted in this photo, include starches, sugars, and fiber. High fiber, lower sugar foods have a higher nutrient density than do the low fiber, high sugar foods. Current carbohydrate recommendations include consuming half of our grain products or half of our carbohydrates as whole grains, and to limit our added sugar to fewer than 12 teaspoons daily. Between 45 and 65% of our daily calories need to come from carbohydrates to fuel our bodies. The second macronutrient are the lipids, or the fat macronutrient. Fats do not dissolve in water, so they are insoluble in water. Lipids include cholesterol, saturated fats, unsaturated fats, trans fats, and essential fatty acids such as the omega-3 and the omega-6 fatty acids. Current recommendations include that our diet needs to include between 20 to 35% of our calories from fat, while limiting our trans fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol, and being sure to consume enough of the essential fatty acids daily by consuming more fish, nuts, and seeds. The third macronutrient, protein, are comprised of 22 different amino acids. Food sources of protein are depicted in the photo. Protein sources from animals are complete proteins, meaning that they contain all of the essential amino acids. Protein sources from plants are incomplete proteins, meaning that they lack one or more of the essential amino acids. Current recommendations include that we select more plant-based protein sources, such as legumes, lentils, and soy, and fewer or smaller portions of the animal-based protein sources. Water is the final macronutrient, but unlike the other three macronutrients, water is a single substance. Water makes up about 60% of an adult's body weight. Water helps to transport nutrients throughout the body. It aids in digestion. Water serves as a medium for chemical reactions when we build or take apart substances in the body. Water helps to remove our waste products and also helps to lubricate our joints. Nutrients provide three main functions for the body. First, the macronutrients provide energy in the form of calories. Carbohydrate and protein provide 4 calories per gram. Fat provides 9 calories per gram. And alcohol, while it's not a nutrient per se, it does provide 7 calories per gram. If more energy is consumed than is needed, over time, body weight will increase. With the exception of the vitamins, all classes of nutrients are involved in forming and maintaining the body's structure. Most of the weight of the body is due to water, fat, and protein. Nutrients help to form and maintain the shape and the structure of the body. Fat deposited under the skin softens our curves, whereas the proteins form ligaments and tendons that hold our bones together. Minerals harden bone. Protein and water make up the structure of our muscles. And lipids, proteins, and water form the structure of the individual cells of the body. Nutrients play important roles in the regulation of body processes, such as the regulation of body temperature through the perspiration, the regulation of blood pressure, and the regulation of blood sugar levels. Each nutrient plays a role in helping to maintain homeostasis, or the proper regulation of metabolism. Thank you for listening, and I hope that this refresher is just what you needed to rejuvenate some of those memories that you've had about basic nutrition.